In 1922, an entire family was murdered inside an isolated farmhouse in Germany. But the murders were only the beginning, because after the killings, someone remained inside the house. Neighbors later reported smoke still rising from the chimney. The animals were being fed. Meals appeared freshly prepared, and at night, lights were still visible through the windows, as if someone was still living there. The farm was called Hinterkaifeck. It sat alone near the edge of a dark Bavarian forest, separated from the nearest village by fields and snow-covered paths. To outsiders, it looked quiet, ordinary. But in the days leading up to the murders, strange things began happening around the property, things the family could not explain, and things that would later make the case one of the most disturbing unsolved mysteries in history. The first sign that something was wrong appeared in the snow. Farmer Andreas Gruber noticed a trail of footprints leading from the forest toward the farmhouse. The tracks stopped near the house, but there were no footprints leading back into the forest. At first, he assumed someone had wandered onto the property, but as he stared at the snow, a terrible realization slowly formed. Whoever made those tracks might still be nearby. Days later, Andreas searched the woods surrounding the farm, but found nothing. No traveler, no neighbor, no explanation, only silence, and the feeling that someone was watching the house from the trees. Then came the noises. Late at night, the family began hearing footsteps above them in the attic. Slow, creaking sounds moved across the ceiling after midnight. Sometimes it sounded like pacing, other times dragging. And whenever Andreas climbed upstairs, carrying a lantern to investigate, the attic was empty. No intruder, no animals, nothing. But the sounds always returned, night after night, as if someone was hiding inside the farmhouse itself, listening, waiting. Soon, even stranger things started happening. One morning, the family discovered a newspaper inside the house that none of them had purchased. No one knew where it came from. Then a set of keys went missing. Not long afterward, the family's maid suddenly quit. She claimed the farmhouse was haunted, and she refused to spend another night there. But despite everything happening around them, the Gruber family stayed. Maybe they believed the strange events would stop, or maybe they never imagined how much danger they were already in. On the evening of March 31st, 1922, the family disappeared. Investigators later believed that one by one, members of the household were lured into the barn. Something or someone drew them outside, and inside the darkness of the barn, they were killed. The attacks were brutal, silent, methodical. But what terrified investigators most was what happened afterward, because the killer didn't flee the farmhouse. He stayed. Days passed before neighbors became suspicious. Smoke was still rising from the chimney. The cows had been fed. Fresh footprints appeared around the property, and someone had continued caring for the animals after the murders. When investigators finally entered the farmhouse, they discovered signs that meals had been prepared in the kitchen. Someone had slept inside the house, Someone had moved through those dark rooms at night, surrounded by the bodies of the family. No one could understand why, or who would stay inside a murder scene for days, completely alone. Police searched the area for suspects, but the investigation quickly turned into confusion. There were no clear witnesses, no definitive evidence, and over the years, countless theories emerged. Some believed the killer was someone the family knew. Others believed the murderer had been secretly living on the property long before the attacks, hidden in the attic, watching the family for days or even weeks. But no theory was ever proven, and no one was ever convicted. Today, the Hinterkaifeck farmhouse no longer exists. The original buildings were demolished long ago, but the mystery never disappeared, because even after more than a century, one question still remains unanswered. Who walked out of the forest that winter and never left the farm again?